Welcome to Here and Now. It is a rainy evening, as you can see in Port aux Basques right now, as Hurricane Fiona continues on its path towards the island. Meteorologist Ashley Brawweiler is there live tonight. So Ashley, let's get right to it. What's the latest on this weather system?
Well, it does seem like people here in Port aux Basques are bracing for what's to come, or whatever Fiona brings over the next 24 to 36 hours. Let's take a look at what's going on right now as far as the warnings go. Hurricane warnings now in place across the southwestern portion of the province. So anywhere from Gros Morne through to Port aux Basques and then over towards Burgeo is where we have those hurricane warnings at the moment. The rest of the northern peninsula through central, including Gander, the Bonavista North, Conagra Peninsula, and Burin Peninsula are all under that tropical storm warning. And then even up for southeastern portions of Labrador, we have that tropical storm watch. So wide area, even including those hurricane warnings and tropical storm warnings, the further towards the maritime provinces you go. Taking a look at what's happening right now, Fiona is starting its turn northward, starting to interact with that area of that cold front rather. And over the next couple of hours, we're going to start to see that rain continue to intensify. Already seeing lots of rain across Nova Scotia, PEI, and then just edging in now to the southwest. Now, we've been seeing some of that, or we've been seeing this rain rather, for a good chunk of the afternoon. Now, taking a look at what's going to happen, Fiona will make landfall somewhere on Cape Breton as we head through 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, eventually head towards southeastern portions of Newfoundland. By the time we get into Saturday morning, this is when we should start to see some of those peak winds, and then eventually continue to head a little bit further north. And by the time we get into Sunday, a much weaker storm up across Labrador and a clearing trend, which will likely, should be the better chance of cleanup. So speaking of cleanup, earlier today, talked to a couple of homeowners just here earlier, and they were starting to prep for the potential for Fiona. So here's what we were talking about.
Well, we got about 80 plus sandbags, I guess, put in place all around our doors, our doorways. Our friend dropped us off a couple loads of hammerstone there last night there, try to prevent some of the erosion anyway. But all our doors are all blocked anyway. I got plywood against the glass inside of our garage in case we break a window, in case any sea goes in through there.
And so over the years, you obviously know your location right on the beach here. You're no stranger to storms, you're no stranger to waves and all of that. So why are you preparing differently for this storm?
Well, each storm seems to be getting more severe. Storm surges are getting more powerful. We've lost land over the years. Right here, there used to be a shed that we used to store our wood in. It's no longer standing. The land is gone. Dorian came through in 2019. We took a really bad hit. And again, in January past, we were hit hard.
And over the years, what have you done in preparation for the storms? You know, dropping these boulders now, but what have you learned?
The sea is calming, but she can get angry.
Yeah. It's nice when it's nice, but it's bad when it's bad. Really bad.
So over the years, even just not even a year ago, we had some damage here. What has been going on as far as the preparations go from the town?
In January, we had a really bad storm surge. Took a lot of land. The town people came by and they took some pictures. They were going to apply for federal funding. And they told us that they couldn't guarantee us anything, but if money became available, they would help us repair some of the damage and prevent further damage so we could secure our house. I guess the funding didn't come through, and we're left here now to try to save everything ourselves.
Are you guys planning on evacuating tonight?
Nope, home is home, and we're going to stay and weather the storm.
Unless things change.
Yeah.
Don't tell my mother-in-law.
So actually, just before we went live to air here, Karen did come out and she said that she's packed a bag and they are planning on evacuating just in case anything does happen, and probably a good idea to do that. So Malone Mullen joins me now. She's down here on the ground with me. What have you been hearing?
Well, I've learned that this is a fishing town, and it has been for literally centuries. And there's still a few people around who are making their living from the sea. And for the most part, when I chatted with them this morning, they were nervous. And these are people who've seen their fair share of nasty weather, of big waves and wind. And aside from the odd optimist shrugging off the forecast, making fun of it, they're fearful of what's on the way in a few short hours here. One of the men that I spoke to said he's seeing more preparation than normal, boats being hauled out of the water. The ones that are too big to be hauled out, those are being tied down with as much rope as they can find. Now, everyone's really worried about the storm surge in particular, as Ashley's been talking about all day, and that has the potential to raise water levels significantly and really do some damage to the wharf. So one of the men that I spoke to said he's never heard of forecasted 12-meter waves, and that's an old number. Now it could be as high as 15-meter waves. That's 45 feet. He said 9 meters is the highest he's ever heard of in decades doing his job. And again, this is someone who lives on the water, who's really seen it all. Another person that I spoke to talked about a bad storm over a decade ago, and that caused massive destruction. Here's what he told us.
Well, I say 10 or 12 years ago, perhaps a little longer, we had a big one, something like this. It came from the southwest too, and it cleaned out fishing stages, took the works, everything. There was people that lost all their fishing gear, their wharves, their sheds and everything. So I think you're going to see a lot of that, especially in some of the communities where you have older fishing stages or sheds, you call it, well, older wharves in it. It's all now up at water level. I think a lot of stuff is people's going to lose a lot of infrastructure and stuff.
So as you just heard, there's a ton of things that could go wrong on that wharf tomorrow. And they're particularly worried about one man who's been living on a boat down there for the last little while. He told us he's been living in his sailboat for 15 years now. He's been all across the country, and his boat actually broke down close to Port aux Basques not too long ago. So he was planning on wintering here and also toughing out Fiona on that boat. But everyone was so worried. He said the dock manager actually got together the funds today to put him up. And
I had some engine issues, so I had no doubt, but I had to tie her down, rodeo it up, and I've got it tied up like a spider web right now.
okay, so you were really prepared for this hurricane.
I've done my best. Time will tell. We'll see what it looks like afterwards. This was amazing. I was having problems with my boat getting tied up and so forth, and the dock master, Nikita, I can't say enough nice things about her. She arranged to speak to somebody, and they set me up in this hotel for the next 2 nights. The kindness of the people of Newfoundland is absolutely what they say it is.
The town's mayor told me yesterday, Carolyn, that the neighbors have already been looking out for each other, and I think that's certainly the case here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Malone. Really appreciate it. Well, our province, of course, isn't the only one being affected by Fiona. Forecasters are expecting it to make landfall in Nova Scotia tomorrow morning as a very powerful post-tropical storm. Now, Fiona is forecasted to arrive in Nova Scotia Saturday morning. Environment Canada says it will also hit PEI and southeastern New Brunswick, as well as some parts of Quebec bordering the Gulf of St. Lawrence. People were out earlier stocking up on supplies and battening down the hatches. They're being told to stay indoors once the storm hits. Officials warned of possible prolonged power outages, wind damage, coastal flooding, and road washouts. Well, there is a lot of concern about what the hurricane will bring when it arrives on our shores. Environment Canada meteorologist Bob Robichaud gave an update early this afternoon, and he told reporters the power of this storm is not to be underestimated.
In terms of the storm size, it's certainly bigger than Juan was when Juan made landfall in 2003. In terms of Dorian, it's comparable in terms of its size, but it is stronger than Dorian was back in 2019. So where it fits in the history books, we'll have to make that determination after the fact, but it is going to be certainly a historic extreme event for Eastern Canada.
Now, the Canadian Hurricane Centre is urging people to turn to the latest information online, and that website is hurricanes.ca. And for more information about how to be prepared, you can visit the website getprepared.ca. And stay with us, we'll have plenty more Fiona coverage for you throughout Here and Now. But now to another big story in the province. We have more details about the chaos yesterday that rocked Conception Bay South. 2 men are recovering from gunshot wounds. They are injured but expected to live. And the man that police say is responsible is now behind bars. Here Now's Terry Roberts has the latest on the investigation.
Here's the man police believe was responsible for that shooting spree yesterday. The gunfire briefly paralyzed the Northeast Avalon Peninsula. Matthew Fowler, age 31, all 6'5" of him, appearing before Judge Lois Gaines. Quiet, calm, and despite all the violence he's accused of unleashing, Fowler shows no signs of injuries. He's facing some serious charges, including aggravated assault. After the shots, Fowler's day came to a crashing halt here on St. Thomas Line. But the 4 hours of mayhem started in Conception Bay South. 1 man shot here on Uplands Road, another here on Greeley Town Road. Both seriously injured but will survive. A 3rd shooting on Peachy Town Road that is still being investigated. Police believe the shootings were targeted and have not said why Fowler may have resorted to such extreme violence. A massive manhunt began after the first shooting, an effort that saw schools enter secure mode. Just after 1:30 p.m., the RNC issued an emergency alert broadcast, ordering people to take shelter and be on the lookout for an armed and dangerous Matthew Fowler. Shortly after 2 o'clock, Fowler is captured, but he didn't go easy.
It took significant resources, including the deployment of a spike belt by officers who were set up in the area, and that spike belt was successful.
The RNC say the emergency alert ordering people off the streets helped them get their man.
I mean, we saw that the roads were clear, people were sheltering in place, and that made a significant impact on our ability to effectively arrest this individual.
Fowler made 2 court appearances today. He faces 15 charges, from aggravated assault to a raft of weapons charges, from theft of a vehicle to refusing to give a breath sample. The charges are only related to one of the 3 shooting scenes, however, so more charges are likely.
It's very much a live event as we speak.
The court listed 13 people who Fowler cannot contact, including 2 of the shooting victims. But that won't be a problem. Matthew Fowler is staying in jail, back before a judge on Wednesday. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
A Newfoundland man pleaded guilty this morning to abusing his former girlfriend in Ontario. Kevin Evans appeared by video at the hearing in Milton, just outside of Toronto. He pleaded guilty to 5 counts of assault. Other charges, including sexual assault, were dropped as part of a plea deal. As Here and Now's Ariana Kelland reports, Evans faced not only his victim today, but also someone else he hurt in the past.
It was a day Jessica Donald feared she'd never see.
It's really a relief, just because he's changed things so many times through the last 4 years that I didn't have a whole lot of faith that he was actually going to go through with it.
After numerous delays, 32-year-old Kevin Evans pleaded guilty today to 5 counts of assault, all involving Jessica Donald between 2017 and 18, when the two were a couple living in Ontario, admitting to choking and punching Donald, at times resulting in trips to the doctor and ER. Other charges of choking and sexually assaulting Donald were dropped. Bittersweet, says Donald.
I don't have to go to court and hear him lie about what happened. I don't have to be questioned what happened, like I'm the person that's lying myself or that I'm the perpetrator in this. So in that part, it's a relief. It's not a relief in the sense that I think he would have gotten a lot more time had it been a trial. I think if he got charged with all of the crimes, he would have gone to jail for a lot more time, and I think that's what he deserves.
But it's not likely that's what he'll get. Donald says the Crown is expected to ask for house arrest. That's despite this not being Evans' first time being here in this position. Donald and two other former partners of Evans told their stories of abuse to CBC in 2020. CBC News went to court in order for Donald to tell her story publicly and was successful in lifting a publication ban on her name. In the case of Ashley McVean and Lindsay Plank, Evans got time served after spending 6 months in jail. Today, Plank showed up virtually to support Donald.
She's been so supportive through this whole thing. You know, she charged him very soon after I did, and it must have been incredibly, incredibly hard for her because I was in Ontario and he was in Newfoundland. Besides him getting on a plane, I was safe. But she wasn't, you know, she did this, you know, for justice, but for also all the other women out there, knowing that he's just going to keep doing this.
Today, Justice Erica Chozik told Evans he will not have to return to Ontario for sentencing, acknowledging that money was tight for him. Evans will learn his fate in November. Ariana Kelland, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, there's a troubling story to tell you about now. The RCMP in Gander are hoping the public can help find a man who apparently tried to coax a young girl into his vehicle. It happened yesterday afternoon in the area of Morgan Drive. The girl was walking home from school when a red Dodge Journey pulled up alongside her. Now, police say the driver was naked from the waist down and he asked the girl to get into the vehicle. She refused and ran to a friend's house nearby. Video surveillance from the area shows the vehicle. The driver is described as having long dark hair that covered his face. Well, it's been a cultural icon for many Newfoundlanders for more than 75 years, but you'll no longer find the Newfoundland Herald on newsstands in the grocery or corner stores. The publication has announced this week's print edition is its last. It means one less home for stories of life in this province.
It's going to be really missed, and it's a regular routine. People have been walking down to the stores. They knew they could save money on a subscription, but walking down to the store, that routine of seeing the same people, of buying the Herald, of flipping through the pages. We're going to miss each other. There's people who used to come in weekly to pick it up just so they could say hello to us. So, you know, there's a big part that's going to be missed. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go into a grocery store for a very long time and see those empty shelves. It's going to be a little bit painful for a while. All the little inspirational tales that we've told, that I've told personally, the friendships I have, and I still had some appointments booked to see people, and they're still inviting me even though I have nowhere to use it. So it's the friendships, the relationships, from the Mary Walshes to the mom of the child, you know, in the Janeway who had a story to tell. All those things are so key and so important.
Most of the time, the hurricanes come, but they seem to either turn right or turn left before they hit Ramia, but this one is definitely different.
Coming up, I'll speak with the mayor of Ramia about their Fiona preps.
Well, as we head through the night tonight, winds really going to ramp up for parts of the province. Storm surge, rain, and also the potential for some snow in parts of Labrador. I'll get into the full forecast details coming up.
Basque is the area of greatest concern with Hurricane Fiona. The entire southwest coast of the island could see some very strong winds, heavy rain, and waves up to 10 meters. And that includes the island community of Ramea. Its Mayor Ian Stewart is here with us now. So Mayor Stewart, everyone is watching this storm heading our way. Ramea is pretty exposed, especially when it comes to storm surges. What are some of your biggest concerns right now?
Well, Carolyn, our biggest concern right now is the storm surge. Just back in 2017, we had some extremely large waves come over the beach and into our water reservoir. And we had over 10 million gallons of salt water to pump out of the Northwest Pond, and that was in the wintertime, to get things back to normal again. And since then, we've put in pretty extensive breakwaters there. And so we're probably going to be tested on that this year. Most of the time, the hurricanes come, but they seem to either turn right or turn left before they hit Ramea. But this one is definitely different. It's a more intense storm and we're going to get more of the bad weather associated with it. So I think the storm surge is the biggest one for us. Some of our fishing stages and some of the buildings are not too far above the high tide mark, so we are a bit concerned there. We can expect a small amount of flooding. Ramea is only a narrow island, so most of it does run off. But we could see some sewer backups there and a bit of flooding, but it should not be anything major.
And there are about 400 people living on Ramea, I believe. What are you hearing from residents there about this storm? How are people feeling about it, and what are they doing to prepare?
I think overall, the people prepare for these storms each year, and they also prepare in the winter when the ferry can't run and freight can't come in and things. But I think they know that with this one's going to be a bit more intense. So what I've been seeing is people are putting away things that can blow around. I definitely see a difference there, and a lot of the men are hauling their boats up or shelter.
Well, Mayor Ian Stewart, I hope you all fare very well there and everyone remains safe and sound. Thank you so much for checking in with us.
And thank you very much too, Carolyn. All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Well, from Ramea to Port Basque, Ashley is live tonight where Hurricane Fiona is expected to hit the hardest. So, Ashley, as we saw earlier, there are some nervous people right now, especially those who live near the shoreline.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we talk a lot about how Newfoundland and Labrador are no stranger to storms, but this one does feel a little bit different. You know, we're hearing very strong language from Environment Canada. The language has been getting stronger as the week has gone on, and the threat is there. The storm surge threat is there as well. So let's take a look at those hurricane warnings across the province, or where we're seeing the hurricane warnings anyway right now. One more time, just from Grossmoor through to Port Basque and then Burgeo. The rest of Northern Peninsula, Central, and towards the Burin Peninsula is under that tropical storm warning, and then tropical storm watches in place from Cartwright through to the Strait. So as we head, over the next couple of days, or next couple of hours rather, we're going to start to see that transition of Fiona. Now, right now, currently a Category 3 storm, sustained winds 205 kilometers per hour with that gust upwards of 250, starting that turn northward. Now, looking like it will make landfall somewhere at this point, this is the update. It looks like it's the update a little bit further east. Every model shifted this last run further east. And then taking a look at the track, I'm looking at this with you as well, a little bit further towards Newfoundland and the southwest coast as well. Winds still, though, topping out at 130 kilometers per hour by Saturday afternoon, and then heading further north, even towards Labrador by Sunday afternoon. Those winds still about 85 kilometers per hour. So taking a look at what's going on right now, this is the satellite and radar that we're seeing. So winds not overly impressive, and they won't be yet, but they're generally out of the south or the southeast, around 50 kilometers per hour at this point around St. Lawrence, St. John's, as well as parts of Nova Scotia. And that rain moving in. And a little bit of a break right now as far as that rain goes here in Port aux Basques, but anticipating that we will see that rain intensify as we head through the night. So this takes us through to tomorrow morning, early morning hours. We're looking at those gusts somewhere between 110 to 130 kilometers per hour for the southwest. But from the Port-au-Port Peninsula, well, really from Corner Brook through to the Burin Peninsula and the Avalon, we could be seeing those gusts between 90 to 100 kilometers per hour, and even stronger for the Burin Peninsula, about 110 kilometers per hour by Saturday morning. The winds will just continue to intensify. Looking at those winds gusting, peaking out potentially between 130 and 150 kilometers per hour. It's really the duration of the winds, and I've been talking about this all week, but I can't stress that enough. That is what the issue is, and we're still looking at those winds peaking around 330 and continuing to be fairly strong through the day. As we head into the overnight on Sunday, overnight on Saturday rather, we're still looking at pretty gusty winds, 90 to 100 kilometers per hour, pretty much across the board, a little less for the Northern Peninsula and the Avalon, but still looking at those gusty winds. We're really not going to see any relief from these winds along the south coast until Sunday morning. You can see some of that working its way a little bit further north as well. By the time we get into Sunday afternoon, most areas will be seeing those winds gusting between 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. So the other thing with this system is the the waves. And still looking like we'll see those waves peaking somewhere around potentially 12 to 15 meters breaking at the shore. That is a significant wave, and even along the south coast, 7 to 10 meters certainly possible. And then you combine that with the wind, we have that storm surge. So what happens is we've got that low pressure system. I talked about that yesterday, the potential that it could be record breaking low pressure. You've got all that pressure pushing down on the ocean, and then that pushes the water right with it. So we talk about that along with the fact that high tide is around 10:30 tomorrow morning and a potential storm surge of 1.8 to 2.4 meters. We could break some records in Port aux Basques. Now, it will be less extreme the further east you go, but still a significant storm surge. So we definitely have to keep an eye on that. So we're looking for the peak, if it matches high tide, somewhere in the morning hours with that. And again, we could break some of those records. So definitely something to think about. Now, just the timeline, we will see those winds pick up as we head through the overnight tonight. Some rain moving in, which will be heavy at times as well. I didn't even get to the rain, but we're talking somewhere between 50 to 100 millimeters for the southwestern. You can see why. We will see those heavy bands of precipitation continue through a good chunk of tomorrow, move towards the coastal areas of Labrador, and then eventually that rain will move right back in on Saturday. So we're not talking about the potential for cleanup really until Sunday. So we'll, I know not everybody is going to see the effects of this storm, so we'll talk about the long range and what's coming when I come back.
I've been watching the weather for like the last 2 weeks, like night and day. And when I seen that there was a hurricane coming, I was just like, that's just our luck.
Well, coming up, we'll hear from a Corner Brook couple determined to carry out their nuptials despite the bad weather Fiona may bring.
Well, being on the receiving end of a hurricane for your birthday is not exactly a good thing, but that's exactly the spot that our next guest is in. This is Brian Button, the mayor of Channel Port-aux-Basques, and we did have him on the show yesterday, but we thought, since the storm is almost here, it's much closer, that we would have you back. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure.
So obviously, I don't think that this is exactly what you were thinking for your birthday.
No, this is... there's better things that I could be doing today to do that, but being the mayor of the community, this is the priority. Birthdays come and go, but for the safety and preparing for this particular type of storm for our community, this is, my first priority today.
So tell me a little bit about what's going through your mind as the storm approaches.
The biggest thing that's going through my mind is that we have so many homes that are along the coastline and are close to the sea. And, I worry about that for our residents and the residents within our community. If the seas get so fierce as what we're talking about, and the storm surges and the tidal surges, I worry about them. And I worry about, I know people want to stay and protect their homes and stay in, but if we run into situations where that is, we may have to leave that. And we want to be there to try to assist and try to get people to a safer place.
Yeah, and the language over the last couple of days from Environment Canada, the Canadian Hurricane Centre, has been getting progressively stronger. And so what are you telling people?
Well, that's exactly what I'm telling them. A lot of people are saying, you'll get some people to come and say, well, we've seen all this before and it never petters out too much and they're blowing it all up. But I don't think that's the case. I think it's a case of that the more we tell about it and the more we prepare for the worst. So I'm telling people, prepare for it to be really bad. And let's be hopeful at the end of the day we can have this same conversation and say, that wasn't so bad, we escaped it. So we'll hope for that. But today we have to prepare that it's going to be extremely bad, and we have to prepare and be ready for that.
Yeah, exactly, because you can't go back and fix anything for sure. Is the town ready?
Well, we've had meetings all to this afternoon. We've had various groups, right from everybody from Newfoundland Power, Newfoundland Hydro. We had all of our crews in. We had our people that's going to be running our warming stations, the Salvation Army, and so on and so forth. The province's emergency center. We were all on a meeting this afternoon and talking about the what ifs and what we have and what we've got prepared. So it's, we're preparing the best we can. We're having people in place. We'll have people in our offices tomorrow that'll be working. We'll have crews out 24 hours that'll be going around. The big thing, what I've got to put off to people is patience in a storm like this, because while we all have crews out, whether it's us or Newfoundland Power or whoever, we still have to do stuff safely. So we can't be at things if it's unsafe. So we had to be patient, and hopefully we'll get there and we'll do our very best. So we're not going to try to leave anybody stranded, but we'll try our very best.
Yeah, so on that note, do you have anything that you would like to say to the residents?
Well, what I would say to the residents is my only wish today is that this won't be so bad as that we expect. And I want everyone to be safe, but take every precaution that you have to do. If you're living by the sea, like a lot of people are, if it's getting really bad, don't stay. Let's get out of there, and we'll worry about that after. But your lives and your safety and all that type of stuff is a lot more important than any of that. So we want to be there for you, and we want you all to be safe.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, and happy birthday. All right, back to you, Carolyn.
Thanks so much, Ashley. Well, hopefully his wish will come true when he blows out those birthday candles and everyone will stay safe this weekend. Well, from birthdays to weddings, some people will be closely watching the track of this storm. A couple in Corner Brook who is determined to get married this weekend despite the weather. When Jen Stone and Jeff McLeod began planning almost 2 years ago, their guest list did not include Fiona, Hurricane Fiona, of course. Here Now's Troy Turner spoke with the Lovebirds about their plans.
They may have needed a few extra candles in the event of a power outage, but there's very little stopping Jen Stone and Jeff McLeod from getting married tomorrow.
I've been watching the weather for the last 2 weeks, night and day. And when I seen that there was a hurricane coming, I was just like, that's just our luck. We've been so concentrated on COVID for the last 2 years, planning a wedding. Hurricane was the last thing I thought we'd have to deal with.
The couple became engaged near the beginning of the pandemic and planned a wedding to coincide with the lifting of restrictions. Little did they know one of the worst storms predicted for the area was headed their way. But the hall is being decorated and extra precautions taken.
The ladies at the hall just informed me we have propane, so our meal will be going ahead, no worries. And we have lots of candles, lanterns, battery-operated lights. My uncle has a generator, so we've been just in like, what are we going to do modes for the last couple days, making sure everything's going to go ahead.
And what about the wedding stress on top of the worry of weather? All the guests have arrived safely, so now it's just a matter of taking the rest in stride.
I've actually been really good. I felt like I was more stressed last week when I was watching the weather and watching the weather. The closer it's come, it's the realization that it is what it is. So I've been just trying to concentrate on, we're getting married. So at the end of the day, we'll be married. Whatever it is, you know, they say it's luck with rain on a wedding day, so I guess we'll be showered in it.
Regardless of the magnitude of the storm or what the weather will bring this weekend, the bride and groom just want everybody to be safe, and it's a wedding, so they want everyone to have a great time. Troy Turner, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Well, it took more than a century, but a special monument was unveiled today in Gallipoli, Turkey. It pays tribute to the contributions, accomplishments, and sacrifices of Newfoundland and Labrador soldiers during World War I. Dozens of Iranian students held a rally at Memorial University today. They were paying tribute to Mahsa Amini, the 22-year-old whose death has sparked major protests in Iran. She died in custody after morality police arrested her for not adequately covering her hair. Students here say they're concerned for their families and their freedoms back home.
This is the greatest women's revolution ever in the history of Middle East. The death of Mahsa Amini, it has just triggered the national-wide protest. You've probably watched Handmaid's Tale series in HBO. So for you, that might be a fiction. That might be a story. For us, for Iranian, they're living in it.
You are not a stranger.
The people are chanting in the street, burning their scarves to protest this. This is the biggest women movement right now in the world. We need the support of all people all around the world. They are shutting down internet again. We are concerned over the safety of our family. We cannot talk to them anymore. The WhatsApp is down. All social media are filtered. Instagram is filtered. We cannot even reach out to our family. We don't know who is alive, who is dead. So the only thing that people in Iran needs right now to support them, be their voice.
Well, it's been 107 years since Newfoundland soldiers fought in a faraway war on the shores of Gallipoli in Turkey. And today, that event was commemorated. Under a bright, cloudless sky, the sixth and final caribou monument that makes up the Trail of the Caribou was unveiled. The caribou represents the major battles that soldiers of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment fought during the First World War. Federal and provincial officials, including the Premier, are in Gallipoli. Here are some of the highlights from today's ceremony.
Welcome to our commemorative and dedication ceremony of the Gallipoli Newfoundland Memorial. This memorial completes the Trail of the Caribou, which represents some of the most important battles from Newfoundland's First World War experience. More than 1,000 Newfoundlanders landed on the Gallipoli Peninsula in September 1915, fathers and sons who would not return to their loved ones at the end of the war. Those who loved and were loved are now forever remembered. 107 years later, we come together to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice.
Our present has been a long time coming, an overdue return to where a regiment of young Newfoundlanders would first find its feet. It was here they would experience their initial exposure to the miserable hardships of war, a bitter taste of the horrors that would await for them on the Western Front in the next few months. For the 30 who died in action and the 10 who were taken by disease, Gallipoli was where they drew their last breath.
Today we officially complete the Trail of the Caribou and honor the efforts and sacrifices of the Newfoundland Regiment in Gallipoli. It was here in the trenches, in 1915, the reputation of the fighting Newfoundlander was born. Resilient, resourceful, fearless. Despite harsh conditions in a place and climate they had not experienced before, the regiment persevered.
Well, the rain has started. It is going to continue to intensify as we head through the evening hours tonight. The system heads towards Labrador, where we're going to see some gusty winds and some rain. I'll get into the full forecast coming up.
Time to find out who's celebrating. Happy 50th anniversary to Helen and Jerome Meany of Pasadena. Congratulations to Fred and Teresa Collins of Winterland on their 54th anniversary. Happy 60th anniversary to Clifford and Nina Wellen of Gander. Wishing Cyril and Ruby Froud of Horwood a happy 50th anniversary. Happy 51st anniversary to Don and Pauline Vokey of CBS. Jim and Bridget Welsh of Carbonear are celebrating their 52nd anniversary. Happy 62nd anniversary to Hector and Jean Earl of St. Lunaire Griquet. Happy 54th anniversary to Patrick and Maureen Fian of St. John's. Congratulations to William and Lorraine Turner on their 54th anniversary. Happy 54th anniversary as well to Alan and Bonnie Thomas in Clark's Beach. Hazel and Calvin Hibbs of Peterview are celebrating 51 years of marriage. Happy 61st anniversary to Ronald and Emma Collins of Indian Bay. It's a 53rd anniversary for Roland and Myrtle Hodder of Rock Harbor. Happy 50th anniversary to Pat and Wallace King of Grand Falls, Windsor. Wishing Don and Marcella Payne of Butlerville a happy 55th anniversary. Happy 50th wedding anniversary to Cyril and Pauline Boyd of Lawrenceston. Anniversary greetings going out to Scott and Elvina Hodder of Stoneville. It's their 50th. Congratulations to Robert and Minnie Gullidge from Kelligrews on their 66th wedding anniversary. Happy 63rd anniversary to Alvin and Josephine Simmons of Cannings Cove. Nish and May Berry of Grand Falls, Windsor are celebrating their 50th anniversary. Congratulations. Madeline and Bill Newell of Somerville, Bonavista Bay are also celebrating their 50th. Congratulations to Mary and Norman Ryan of Southern Harbor, who are celebrating 55 years today. Now to some birthdays. Happy 90th birthday to Dorothy Clark of Carbonear, now living in Oakville, Ontario. Birthday greetings going out to Ruby Loader, who's celebrating her 91st birthday in Clarenville. Best wishes to Marie Green in Corner Brook, who just turned 90. Happy birthday to Janet Payton, she's turning 99. Happy 92nd birthday to Helen Bartlett of Colliers. Birthday greetings to Evelyn Parsons, who turns 90 tomorrow. Happy 97th birthday to Alice King in Grand Falls, Windsor. Wishing Albert Burgess of St. John's a happy 93rd birthday. And here's a milestone. Frances Hollander of St. John's is celebrating her 100th birthday. Wishing Phyllis Hicks in Bonavista a happy 97th birthday. Happy 90th birthday to Loretta Maloney of Holyrood. Birthday greetings going out to Ralph Coombs of Head of Beta Spare, who's celebrating his 93rd birthday. Happy 93rd birthday as well to Viola Reed from Reedville. Happy 91st birthday to Raymond Flynn of Lancelot, Labrador, now living in Mount Pearl. Wishing Rodney Ford of Port aux Basques a happy 91st birthday. Happy birthday to Doris Dale of Coley's Point. She's celebrating her 101st birthday. Happy 94th birthday to Evelyn Larich of Port aux Basques, now living in St. John's. Happy birthday to Teresa Bruce of St. John's, who just turned 95. Alan Freeman turned 101 yesterday. He grew up in Twillingate and now lives in Gander. Happy birthday. Happy 90th birthday to Violet Yetman of Bay Roberts, and wishing Olive Marshall of Charlottetown, Labrador a very happy 91st birthday. Okay, time to check in with Ashley one final time. It looks like the rain might be ramping up a little bit out there right now in Port aux Basques. How are things looking right now?
Yep, certainly is. I know it was an absolutely beautiful day the further east. I know in St. John's it was beautiful. I kept seeing pictures, but definitely raining. Yeah, definitely raining here now, and I just decided I'll just lose the umbrella. It's okay. But let's take a look at what's going to happen over the next couple of days through the overnight, what's going to happen in Labrador. So we are going to see those showers intensify as we head through the evening hours tonight and then head towards the coast. So this is by 10 p.m. tonight. You can see eventually some of those heavier bands of showers as we head towards the morning hours for the northern peninsula and southeastern portions of Labrador. We'll also see some showers for the eastern portion of the island. Winds should top out in the mid-morning for those of you on the Avalon, and then hang around 60 kilometers per hour through the day, but you will see some showers continue, bands of rain which will be heavy at times as Fiona heads towards the southwest coast. And then by the time we get into the afternoon hours, or rather early morning hours on Sunday, the storm will weaken considerably, but we'll still see that shower potential, and also the potential for some snow for portions of Lab West as we head into early Sunday morning. The trend on Sunday, though, with the winds easing, relatively speaking, down to about 40 or 50, 60 kilometers per hour, should be a clearing one, which is good if there is any sort of cleanup needed. So there's the temperatures for tomorrow. Warmest temperatures in the east, about 20 degrees in St. John's, otherwise in the teens, single digits, the story for Labrador. And then as we head into Sunday, much cooler temperatures right across the board. Coastal, or rather Lab West and northern Labrador will be sitting around 5 or 6 degrees, still hanging on to that chance of some flurries. And by the time we get into Monday, much nicer weather, temperatures back into the 20s for a good chunk of the island. Northern Peninsula into the teens, and then back up into the double digits for Labrador as well, about 16 degrees for Happy Valley Goose Bay. Taking a look at the long range forecast, we'll add another tick to the 20-degree mark as we head into Tuesday, and then it looks like some showers will return on Wednesday for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. For Central, you're also looking at your temperatures around 19 degrees, a little gray as we start, we'll head into midweek next week. And then same thing for Western Newfoundland, some showers will return as we head into Wednesday, around 16 degrees. Now, as far as Eastern Labrador goes, temperatures down into the about 10 or 11 degrees and single digits, the story for you in Lab West. Take a look at this great shot. This is Stephenville Crossing, calm before the storm. Lisa shared that great shot with us. And if you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca, my Facebook page, or my Twitter. Carolyn?
Thanks so much, Ashley. Calm before the storm indeed. And Ashley, I guess people can follow your forecasting on social media tonight and into tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm going to take a bit of a rest tonight, but as we head through tomorrow, definitely going to be covering the storm on social media, on radio, and for TV as well.
Okay, well, to everyone out there who's in the path of this storm in the province, stay safe out there this weekend. Good night.